Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Today we have with us Desiree Doucet and/or Doucet. Apparently they can't decide on how they want to pronounce their last name, which I thought was just hilarious. So Desiree helps you navigate life's transitions and find your way back to yourself. That is so cool. So tell us a little bit about your story, Desiree. How did you get there?
Oh, because first I had to lose myself. So that's fun, right? It all started, finding my way back to myself started with I call it a spiritual, you know how Brene Brown talks about her spiritual awakening. This is my version. Hers was on a TED stage, TEDx stage, and mine was in Five Guys with a friend from my gym. And she was confronting me. We had wrapped up our cheat day of burgers and fries. And it was just me there with her, just a girlfriend, over dinner. And she said, I just want you to be happy. And I'm like, I am happy. I'm happy. And she's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I'm happy, And she kept pressing me. And she was like, you're too close to the situation. You need to distance yourself. I was married. And she knew my spouse. And I did. I took 4 or 5 days and went and stayed in hotels so I could get some distance and clarity. And that was probably 4 years before I decided I can't, this is not salvageable. So it took some time, but during that process is when I discerned that I really was trying to force myself into a career I wasn't interested in anymore. And all these things I had been numbing myself with staying busy, so I didn't have to face the thing. So in that process, when you're in that churn of I have to take care of everybody else and I'm really happy and I've got to keep my image up and I don't really want to face, but I would have like inklings of, you're not happy or the truth bubbling up, and I would just shove it down. And so I ended up getting divorced in 2017. I didn't have a job when I got divorced, which was interesting, but the perfect job, my dream job, landed in my lap. I applied for a different job and they said, we really like you and we're going to hire somebody else for that job, but we're going to figure out how to make this work. And life has been magical and tragic. And then a year into that, I was a contractor, which I was willing to accept. They offered me a full-time job and I lost my second dog in 3 months. And they were old, so it was expected. And my mom was diagnosed with a terminal illness all in the span of a week. So it was nuts. It was a roller coaster. And she was diagnosed with ALS, which is, there's no cure. It's Lou Gehrig's disease. For those that are familiar with it, you'll nod your head and understand. It hit us like a blind side. We had no idea. So she lived in another state. And my sister and I lived 9 and 12 or 14 hours away by car. We had some family there, but she was single. So it was a roller coaster for a little over a year of taking care of her, which was a blessing and a beautiful time. So I just went through a lot. She passed right before COVID. So I went back to work and I was like, I can finally just rest into work. No. Our business was impacted with COVID, and then I lost my job as a result of that. And I sat back and I said, I need a break and I need to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And so here I am. I went to coach school. That nudge I didn't realize it, but I decided that in 2016, I wanted to be a coach and I shoved it down. So in 2021, I finally did. go to coaching school. And I said, this is important work, and I want to work with people on, big things. Coaches are not therapists, but it is such a trusted relationship that I wanted to take this seriously. And so it was important to me to get training in it. In the span of all that, I also went to yoga teacher training. I also became a certified grief educator. I started study with David Kessler. He is such an amazing human. I also went into a program to learn positive intelligence, which has also been life-shifting. So I have a array of different tool sets to help people really uncover what's inside, that authenticity, and that peace and serenity that makes us all special human beings and helps us see the light in others.
Absolutely. I was going to say that you don't have just like a certification. You have a bunch of certifications. I was looking over at your website. I was like, wow, this girl's got it all.
Well, I mean, partly because I needed that to heal from the transformation. I had somebody from that same gym. She was in my circle of friends, the one that, from the friend that called me out in Five Guys that day. It was like probably 2012. Somebody else saw one of my reels and she sent me a private message and she said, "Oh my gosh, you have changed, but I love it." And it made me cry because I have changed. It's been a lot of work, and I am so honored that I've had the space to do this. And I want to help the people that are just living that churn and burn, and just constantly in stress, disconnect, reconnect with their inner selves, and really find design this life that is really going to speak to their heart instead of what everybody else expects out of you and keeping everybody else happy.
Really, when you get into the living in your own authenticity, it helps everybody else around you, because then you leave the people-pleasing arena and boundaries appear, because you no longer are like willing to do the people-pleasing activities that lead us into this place where we're trapped in I can't say it now.
In authenticity.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't get those two things to go together.
I even struggle with it.
Sounded good in my head.
I totally felt you on that one. What I'd love to share is Shirzad Chamine it's kind of like an add-on to, he takes coaches through this program. He wrote a book in 2012, and I could tell you stories that would give you goosebumps about how this path has been before me for years. And I kept shoving it down. I mean, I could tell you story. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about some of them. I might tell you about Wally. He is a special soul, but he inadvertently introduced me to Shirzad Chamine in 2015. And he was a man I met in a hospital when my ex-father-in-law was recovering from cancer. It was a beautiful, beautiful story. So he would send me email forwards. And little did I know, in 2015, Shirzad was promoting his book. He had written this book. And it was just one of those email forwards. I probably read it. I don't really remember. But when I was going through coach training, I saw this like grant for coaches, and you could go through this 6-week program. And he talked about mental fitness and how we self-sabotage and how to shift. And so what his program offered for me was a framework. And I have this logical analytical, I come from the IT world, right? That's where my degree is. And that's what I've done, to support myself through my life up until this point. And so he said, these are the 10 ways we self-sabotage. And he named these saboteurs. He's got a TEDx talk about this. And then he identified the 5 sage powers. So the sage is our authentic self. And so the interesting part is, I was like, all of this makes so much sense. And it plays in with like these concepts that we've known about for years, mirror neurons. So when we show up as our authentic self, you said it makes it easier for everybody, because part of that is the mirror neurons. So when we're in our authentic self, it gives others permission to show up as their authentic selves too. And so when we're in saboteur land, say that I'm spiraling and people pleaser, like this happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was visiting my sister, and my nephew was in the car, and we did not have a great day. And so afterwards, I was like, I don't understand. We did everything you asked of us today. And he said, I was like, did you not want to go with us to drop your brother off at guitar lessons? Like you asked to do that, and then you were really angry and wanted to go home. And he was like, well, I only did that to make it easier on mama. And I was like, there's his people pleaser, right? Bubbling up. And he doesn't know it. He's a kid, and I was like, and so what called up in me was my empathy for him. I see that you're trying to make this easier on your mom, but in essence, you were going against yourself, and then it just kind of spilled out. And then it has given me understanding this framework of how we self-sabotage, understanding how to tap into my authentic self was kind of like the icing on the cake of everything else I learned in coach training. And all the pieces started to come together. And now I can observe and just be like, this is fascinating. And I'm not angry at this person because of their behavior. I understand it more. And so I shared that with my sister. I was like, he didn't want to go with us. He was just trying to make it easier. Like, this is why we're having this struggle. This is why he wanted to go home. And it was just so, I was like, for a kid to be able to even verbalize that, I didn't want to do that. I was just trying to make it easier on my mom, because she was running kids everywhere that Saturday,
But it didn't really make it easier on her, because he was miserable. And when you show up miserable, you tend to put that vibe out to everybody else. And it's really hard to overcome that vibe when you're presenting it in a small space like a car.
Yeah. And I mean, he was doing his best. And so the interesting thing is, I was so frustrated with him to that point, because it was like, what is going on? But then when he shared that, it was his authentic self showing up and telling his truth. And that's when my authentic self could show up and be like, this kid's not just being a spoiled brat. He really is. His intentions are good. He's just shoving down what he needed in order to please everybody else. And when you can understand that, it shifts your entire persona of how you walk through the world. When you can see that person having a meltdown is just, they can't, you can have empathy for them, and then you can show up and allow them to show up as their authentic selves. And then that's how you work through conflict. That's how you build relationships. That's how you live your best life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just is a few skills, really. And having somebody that can just say, this is the basic outline. Let's work with that. And then you help people with that.
Well, Shirzad talks about that, understanding these concepts and understanding how to shift. And I call it tactical mindfulness, because it's rooted in mindful concepts. It's paying attention. So it's all based on this premise of PQ reps, which are 10 seconds paying attention to one sensation at a time. So one of your senses. So you can do it visually, you can do them with touch, rubbing two fingers together. And so you can do it in the moment. You can do it when you're in the middle, but also training your brain to intercept. This is where I am self-sabotaging. This is where my people pleaser showing up. I sense it. I say, I check in with myself? Is this who I want to show up as? And then I can shift. And so that one practice, combined with the understanding of grief, like if somebody's in grief, like I can help them understand that now, but then overlaying it with this tactical mindfulness. And also my coach training is from a school called IPEC, and they train in energy. So it's all about how you're showing up energetically, which also it all just lays in beautifully together, and it layers, I should say, beautifully together, where I have this more complete view and understanding of human behavior so that I'm not taking everything personally.
And yoga fits right in there too.
Yeah, it does.
It's so beautiful how they all kind of intertwine with each other.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. I decided to go to yoga teacher training in one night. I showed up. I was newly divorced and I was kind of rediscovering myself. And, you see all this sup yoga stuff. And I have been, like a yoga student, and I show up at the sup yoga class and I was the only student. And so we're paddling out there and I'm talking to the teacher and I'm talking to her about classes. And she's like, oh, well, I'm in a 300-hour teacher training. Like I'm, have my 200-hour and I'm going to my 300. And so I start talking to her about it. And she says, oh, I have a couple friends. She's like, they're really awesome, teachers, and they've got a couple teacher trainings that are spinning up. One is like next week and one is in like January. It's just like in the fall. And I said, okay. So I was like, in that moment, it was like a lightning bolt. You need to do this. And I was like, why am I getting this message? This is $2,000. I did not, this is like a commitment. I'm going to commit to like 2 of my weekends every month for like the next 6. What am I doing? Right. But I knew it was a gut feeling. You need to do this. And I will say, I never regretted it. I met incredible people and everybody's like, you're going to cry. I was like, girl, you know how much I've been crying? Like, this is crazy. The first night I was crying and I was like, this is crazy, but it helped me understand things about my body, about my connection with source, my spiritual, practice, that helped me so much when my mom got diagnosed, within the next couple months. It helped me weather that storm and helped me and my sister stay connected and say, we are a team through this and we're not going to have this infighting. And we are here for what's best for our mom. Because we had lost our dad 20 years earlier. We knew the gift of this time that we had left with her because he died suddenly. That was sacred. And we looked at each other and we said, no regrets. And we had no regrets. But that yoga teacher training at that time, something beyond me knew that was the right decision for me. And I trusted it. And time again, like in 2016, when I was meeting with somebody to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was so unhappy in my life and I knew I was unhappy, but I didn't know what to do about it. And I went back and looked at these notes from our meeting and she was like, you want to go to coach school? And when I chose my coaching school, I had interviewed all these different coaching schools. I was like, this is not in alignment with how I want to be sold to. This is not in alignment with my integrity. Like, this isn't what I want. And when I chose IPEC, I went through to look for another email in my inbox about something. And wouldn't you know, I had looked at that school in 2016 and I forgot. So I was like, okay, this is it. This is my school. And I signed up. My trainer for my second module shows up. And in one of our lectures, she starts talking about, we were talking about energy levels, and level 7 energy is just like when you feel connected with divine, like you're in your authenticity, there's no judgment, it's all love, right? The higher level energies are hard to stay in long periods of time, but everybody thinks it's like this blissed out, like meditated state, right? And she told a story about how her father-in-law was passing from ALS. Well, ALS is kind of a nuanced disease. There's not, now that I'm in the camp, like I understand it a lot more and I'm seeing more people pop up with it. But if you haven't been down that journey, you don't really know. And that was a signal. I'm in the right place. And I sent her a private message and I was like, I need to talk to you. She was talking about how that was when she was in the room when he was passing, that was level 7 energy. Like it was all love. And she was like, so level 7 isn't always happy. I just want you guys to know there was a lot of sorrow in that moment, but I felt complete and utter love for him. And I said, can we, like, I have a story to tell you. I was like, I have something to share, but I didn't feel like I could share it with a whole group because I didn't want to violate my mom's privacy even after her passing. And so I said, can we go in a breakout room like during one of the breaks? And she's like, sure. So they play like music to hype you up in the breaks. And right when she came on to hop in the breakout room with me, it was a song that my dad used to have. We had jukeboxes growing up. My dad had these old jukeboxes with 45s.
Fun.
It was a song from our jukebox that was on. So I felt like, okay, this is another sign. Like, it's just when you pay attention to these synchronicities. I got a text from somebody today about a synchronicity that happened in her life. And it was just, it's so magical when you can walk through life, you're tuned in. You don't have to be this airy fairy. You're just paying attention to the little things that pop up. And it just adds a pop of color, like that, like how Emeril Lagasse used to do his little bam, right? That's it's just that spice of life.
I can so totally relate to that. I was thinking about the time that I first heard a song. It was by Diamond Rio. And I think the name of it is Angels Talk to Me or something like that. I'd never heard that song before, but it just spoke to me. And they came to our little tiny town like 3 months later to play at the fair. I'd never heard of Diamond Rio before. I'd never heard this song before. And then to have them show up, and I live in, like, there's 5,000 people in my town. Okay, it's not like a place where musicians normally come. Like once a year we have a fair and musicians come and play at this fair. But it was just like, it's one of those synchronicities. It's like, the universe is talking to me. And this was years ago too. So it was just like, I totally get it. You know, the BAM with Gossi is like perfect. Is because it just is, it's one of those things. It's just like suddenly all the pieces came together just for like one split second, like a star bursting.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it's so fulfilling. And it's like confirmation that we're supported in ways that we don't even know. And that's one of my mantras is I'm supported in ways I don't even know and recognize I am going to be okay. There is abundance in the, you know, I was walking my dog this morning and I was walking down, there's a neighbor who's constantly giving things away. And I got like a brand new Weber kettle grill. Like my grill had just been, it was ready for the trash heap. And he advertises, he's like, it's been used like twice. And I like went down there in my car and threw it in the back. And I was just like, there's abundance everywhere. Like, it's okay for us to give and to share and to lean into just not forcing everything. And one of the things that Shirzad also talks about, he says the path of the sage is the path of ease and flow. And so whenever I'm fighting against something, and I'm not going to lie, like last summer, I hit a wall when I was trying to finish my coaching program and I was just beating my head against the wall and I was trying to force it. And I discovered this meditation journaling practice, and it's from it's called automatic writing. I can't remember Michael, I don't remember his last name. I'll send it to you. We can put it in the show notes. But he was doing a class with Mike Dooley, and he got on there. He's a magnetic personality, and he talks about going into the state of meditation, putting on this theta brainwave music, using headphones, and asking these questions, right? So I started doing this. It was like a 30-day challenge where every day we get up, and he was like, if you wake up at 4:00 in the morning, do it at 4:00 in the morning. Like if you need light, put on red light, or blue blocker glasses, or use a red light headlight. I'm a camper. I had all that stuff. So he gives you I look like a fruitcake. My dog's like, what is going on here? What, are we camping?
Aliens are landing.
Yeah. You're crazy, mama. But, she already thinks I'm crazy, but, I'm there journaling, and like part of this is like asking yourself, what do I need? First you call in whoever you feel is guiding you. If it's, whatever your higher power is, do you believe in spirit guides? It's kind of like a create your own spiritual practice. So you do this and you ask these questions. He has them all outlined, and you just write whatever comes up. And so it started, I was like, I need help. Like, I know I need help. I don't feel okay going to a church. Like, I know I need help. I'm going to try this. And I started doing it. And you know what came up? You need to rest. And you know what my friend said? Of course you do, because you're waking up at 4:00 in the morning to journal. You need to go back to sleep. That's what your body is telling you. I'm like, no, y'all don't understand. And so I was angry and I was fighting it. My friends were like, girl, you crazy. Like, you are nuts. Just go back to bed. Why are you waking up at 4:00? And I'm like, I just naturally wake up. Like, he tells me to do it in the morning. Anyway, so I did this journaling and it was like, you need to rest. And I was fighting it and I was fighting it. And it was like, but what I'm doing is fighting everything. I was fighting everything in my life. And when I just said, I'm going to set my business aside, and I don't know what this rest means, but I'm going to get up and I'm going to do what I need to do during the day to take care of myself, to nurture myself, and the path will unfold. And it did. And I fought that. And it was like, okay, we've got this 6-month intensive journey called PQ Mastery. It was Shirzad's program for coaches who had been enrolled in his program and completed the first 6 months and all this stuff. And anyway, and it was a very intensive program. You met every week for 2 hours with this group of 12 coaches. And it was 6 months every week. It was a lot. And I was like, I'm not spending money. I'm in my period of rest. I'm just going to coast. I inadvertently made it on the sales call. I thought it was a call about something else. I hop in there. I'm like, nope. And 3 things he said during that call were nudges. It was something I had journaled about. And I knew I needed community. And somebody had just talked to me about the hero's journey. And he said all of those things. And he's because I put in my journal, I said, I need to become the person that I always needed. And I need to love myself the way that I've always wanted to be loved. And that was really deeply emotional for me. And he said, everybody that was in our pilot group said the one thing that they got out of this was they became the person they've always needed. And I was like, I hate this.
You're reading my journal.
Like, what is going on? I was like, take my money. I'll figure out how to make the money back. I take my money. And so I showed, and then I realized, this is hilarious. My friend has been trying to get me to go to this primitive skills conference for 10 years. And I had finally agreed to go, and I signed up to go. And what is the first day of our meeting with our 12 group, our fire circle? The day I'm supposed to be setting up in a field with all of these 400 other attendees in the middle of South Carolina on a lake. Yeah, I was like, so I called her. I was like, hey, does my cell phone work there? Because I think I'm going to need to dial into this call. I called in to that group. So these folks from all over the world, we had people in Europe, New Zealand, United States, and Canada in this group. And I am sitting in a tent surrounded by people in this field. And I'm like, hey guys, I didn't want to miss the first meeting. And I sat there for 2 hours and attended my first meeting. And I was like, for some reason, this is meant to be, and I have to go with it. And so when I follow those things, and I say all that to say that 6-month program was life-changing for me. It helped me heal on a level where I can show up better for clients. I wasn't ready last year, and I didn't really know that on a conscious level. But every other part of my being knew that. And so it was preparing me. I'm reading this book right now about marketing. And he said, who do you need to be to show up for your customers? And I'm like, that's what I needed. So it's so interesting how it all happens. And these 12 people, I just met with them again yesterday. Our program's wrapped up. And we said, we love each other so much that we don't want to lose touch. And I've actually met about half of the group in person. Through crazy coincidences where I listened to nudges to fly to New York City for 24 hours so I could meet our circle mate from New Zealand who was going to be in town. And she's like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. But you know what? I need to do this. I wanted to give you a hug. She's mourning the loss of her mom. And I feel that. And I wanted to be there. And it's just it's an incredible, life can be incredible. And we're keeping ourselves from the magic.
Yeah, we do keep ourselves from the magic. We put up blocks, and unless we know how to navigate them, we get stopped. But it doesn't have to be that way.
I know. And I mean, look at me. I mean, I was sitting there like, I'm not signing up for this mastery program. What are you talking about? And it's just, it was exactly what I needed. My sister was like, you have changed. Like, not in a bad way, but you're just different. I mean, I am, but I am so much more loving to myself and so much more loving to others. And I understand things on such a different level now. And I'm just so appreciative for it. But it's because I knew enough to set my own conscious crap aside and say, I'm going to listen to this. I don't know why. And I was talking to my sister, some things that I had hoped for didn't work out. And I said, in a conversation with her, I was just expressing like I was down. I was having a moment. And she was like, I'm really worried about you. And I was like, I'm going to be okay. And I said, I don't understand why this is happening yet, but I look forward to looking back on this in a couple of years and understanding it. I said, I just don't understand what's happening yet. And it's hard. And I could meet myself in that moment. So it's not this toxic positivity of like, everything's flowers and rainbows all the time. I met myself in that moment. And I said, this is really hard. And I'm really sad. And I'm scared. And then if you feel it, you can move through it. So the next day I talked to her, she's like, oh, you're back to your normal self. How did that happen? I was like, well, would you expect me to like be your like all day, like just going to wallow in my pity for, the next 4 months or whatever? I said, no, I'm able to, I felt what I needed to feel. I acknowledged that I had that it was okay for me to not be okay in that moment. But I knew enough to where I could say, I know tomorrow might be a better day. And so I'm going to give up. I'm going to wake up and try again. And I'm going to lean into my sage. And I'm going to know and trust myself. So it's like that. Have you seen that meme of the bird doesn't trust the branch? It trusts like their ability to fly if the branch breaks.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this is. Cultivating that authenticity and that faith in yourself. And the faith in your guides, in your higher power, whatever that is,
the universe to just reach out and make this ground solid beneath your feet when you step.
Yes.
Not knowing whether it's going to be solid or not. It always is. It might not look like you think it's going to look, but it will be solid. That will be the next step.
Yeah. So when I'm fighting too much or something feels too hard, I just remember that the way of the path is the sage of ease and flow.
I love that. I know that you have a gift that you give to people that visit your website. It's the 10 ways to reconnect with yourself. Do you want to talk about that for just a minute?
It's basically a list of ways to disconnect and tune in and sink into relaxation and trust. And there's small things. A lot of them are free. One of them talks about being in nature and how that is calming to our nervous system. Another one I talk about in there is finding a yoga practice. What I did not realize until I went to yoga teacher training, how many different varieties of yoga there are. And it's so like I trained at a vinyasa studio. That's not really what I teach. When I do teach, I don't teach regularly. I need to rectify that because I really do enjoy teaching. I joke that I have commitment issues. I'm like, I can't commit every Wednesday to teach a 6:00 class. But finding that yoga, finding whatever yoga studio or practice or teachers teach differently. They have different cues. So finding what works for you, going for a walk and not taking your phone, not listening to something to distract you. I love to listen to podcasts in the car, but there is a time for disconnection and reflection. And so taking that time, if it's journaling, so just go outside and sit and have a cup of coffee and watch the birds. so many of us don't take that time. We're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to consuming things constantly. Or mindful eating. I went on a silent retreat. This was life shifting. That was another nudge. I woke up one morning in a hotel and it was like, it was like a message that I received. You need to go on a silent meditation retreat. I was like, what is this? And I Googled. There was a brand new retreat center that opened up 2 hours north of my home. I was one of the first retreats to go to there. It was amazing. I still revisit that place. Going on that retreat, I got there. I brought a friend with me. That was fun on a silent retreat. But it was like I was like, this was a disaster. We can't talk to each other. What is going on here? But we were sitting at tables, eating meals, not talking and not having to have that small talk. And you get over it. You're like, oh, this is so awkward. This is weird. It's worse than middle school. And then you get over it and you're like, I am on a patio of a beautiful home and 100-foot natural waterfall off the back. And I am going to sit here and enjoy every bite of this delicious breakfast quiche. And it shifts you. It shifts your nervous system from this survive, push, push, push. And you start to pay attention. That was the first time I noticed my inner judgment voice and how it was speaking to me. So when you slow down, so these practices of reconnecting with yourself are to help you slow down and pay attention to those nudges from the universe, from the unkind things that you're saying to yourself. And that is the first step into awareness, I believe. And that awareness can cultivate, okay, once I'm aware of what's going on, what is coming up for me, then I can take action. So it's the first piece of that. And that's why I wrote that little ebook. And there's some suggestions in there, other things like useful things like boundaries. Actually, the automatic writing book is linked in there too, if you wanted to explore that practice. So there's some really fun ideas. A lot of them just don't cost anything, but it's things that we forget in our hectic, got to get the kids to school, need to make dinner, like having to feed ourselves 3 times a day. That's a job. And then laundry. I mean, just living your life takes work. And, I have mad respect for people that are raising tons of kids and are married and have jobs where they have to commute a long way every day. But find ways to take that time. If it's going to sit off by yourself and have lunch in peace and quiet, put your phone down and just disconnect and check in with yourself.
Yeah. Sage words. So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with today? I'm going to make you top that.
That we all have this beautiful human inside of us, this beautiful sage spirit. And the more that we connect with it, the richer life becomes and the more loving our world is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how do people get in touch with you, Desiree?
Well, I'm on the socials. So I have a Facebook page. So it's Desiree D. Doucet. And you'll see my headshot there. I post like motivational stuff on there. I am also on Instagram at Desiree.Doucet. So DESIREE.DOUCET. Or you can find me at DesireeDoucet.com. And yeah, that's pretty much all the places where I am. I'm also on Threads, but there's not a whole lot of activity on there yet.
Yeah.
It's a fun place.
Survive.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I understand why it bubbled up as a need. And it's a pretty happy place, but I'm like, how do we get traction without hashtags? I haven't figured that one out yet. But yeah, so I'm on Threads at Desiree.Doucet. It's basically an extension of a Meta platform. So yeah, my Instagram name is the same on Threads.
Perfect. And we'll put the links in the show notes so people can find you. Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been great.
Thank you, Jill. It was wonderful.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order, or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.